System tasks. We're going to see some advantages of the automation. So one of the most significant aspects in the automation of processes is the possibility of working automatically without human intervention. In this way, we are going to reach two objectives: cutting costs and eliminating operational errors. So the automation of a company's activities is often expensive, complex. It requires a lot of time until the activities are operational. But this is because in most systems, automation is something quite difficult to achieve. Autoportal has been preparing functionalities for years now, and we've got so many features that allow us to perform different types of automations that clients aren't going to have to do this. It's already prepared. All they have to do is select what automation they want to apply in a system task. And once they decide which one, they just have to set up a few parameters and that automation is ready to go. Okay, so this way we can define or we can create highly complex processes, totally automated in a matter of minutes without the need of any programming. So what can a system task do? It can do all kinds of things. So here we've got a simple list, but well, we'll see throughout the courses that there's a lot of different things that a system task can do. For example, we can input information, we can combine information, we can segregate information, we can apply business rules, we can create documents automatically, we can notify via email, via SMS, via app, we can run scripts, we can invoke web services, we can store data in all kinds of repositories, not only in Autoport repositories, but external ones. We can publish content, we can create, modify, classify, and delete information, okay? And many other actions that we can perform with these system tasks. So practically anything we can imagine that could be done automatically by a system, okay? We're going to use a system task in order to perform this. So let's say I want to launch a process and I want to indicate my process to automatically retrieve all the information that I input in a request form, and I want it to automatically generate a document. After that, I want the document to be uploaded in a certain library. After that, I want the system to automatically email someone that document, and after that, I want to update an external database with the data that I have in my process. Okay, so all of those would be automatic activities that could be performed perfectly by the application. They don't require any human intervention. So sometimes the system tasks are sequential and they're linked to each other in order to achieve a certain result. For example, if I want to automatically send an offer to a client, we might link automatic actions such as apply discounts, define a business rule, and so on. Now we're going to see the difference between an intermediate message event and a system task, because we have seen that lots of students in the past years have mixed up these two concepts, and it's very important to understand that a system task is going to allow us to send information. So we can send emails, we can send notifications via app, via SMS, via portal. There's all kinds of ways in which we can deliver the information. Okay? So sometimes the system must send a message and then the process is going to continue. In other cases, the process must stop and we have to wait for a message to be received in order for the flow to continue. So it's very important to bear in mind that a system task can automatically send the information via emails, SMS, etc. But if we want to stop a process and wait for information to be input into the process, we have to use an EM. Okay? So even though it's called an intermediate message event, it doesn't mean that we're sending messages outside. What it means is that the flow stops and we're waiting for data to come in. Okay? Once the data enters, then the flow continues. And when we're talking about a system task that is going to automatically send information or send a message, then we'd be using this other object here. Okay? So here we're sending information, here we're receiving information. In Autoportal, you can create as many data repositories as you want. Sometimes processes can interact with them or with external data sources. This can be activated automatically in a process or manually by picking it in a button. So let's say we have a hiring service process, and once this process finishes, we store all the information here in this data source. Okay, so we have a data repository in Autoportal where we're storing all this information. And later on, maybe a process is triggered every first day of a month, and the first thing it does, it retrieves the information from this data source in order to send it to specialist. Okay. Besides here, we have another system task that automatically updates the information in an external database. Okay, so these type of communications are always going to be performed by system tasks. Another example we can see here is the correct use of a start event by time, because here we're seeing this this process is initiated manually or when someone is inputting the data. Okay, someone's requesting the service, so maybe they're filling in a form. And this other process, it's starting each first day of a month. Okay, so here we have to use a start event, but a time start event. Now here we have another scenario. As it says here in Autoportal, you can create as many data repositories as we want. Okay, as we saw in the previous scenario, we were interacting in a process with certain data repositories. But sometimes processes can interact with these data repositories or with external data sources. And besides, we might also want to interact with the data from one process to another one. How are we going to do this? How are we going to communicate from one process to another one? We can do this by using an intermediate message event. Remember we said an intermediate message event is going to stop the flow until we receive some data, until we receive the signal from someone or from something. Okay, so let's say here we've triggered this process and this system task automatically sends a signal to this other process so it can continue. So this system task can be the activity that is going to manage the connectivity or the interaction between the two different processes. Thank you for your attention.